The first night, I didn't sleep. The room smelled like bleach and soft soap, and the walls were too white. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands in my lap, listening to the sounds outside my door, rolling, voices calling, someone coughing down the hall. Everything felt unfamiliar, too quiet, and too clean. My name is Margaret. I am 78 years old, and this is my new home. A care home, they call it, Rosewood Haven. It sounds like a place with trees and gardens, but the only rosewood I've seen is a small tree outside the dining room window. The nurse said my daughter chose this place because it's close to her work. I smiled when she told me that smiling is easier than speaking sometimes. I had a house once, a real house with yellow curtains in the kitchen and a creaky wooden floor in the hallway. My husband Robert built that house with his hands. He was a quiet man, always working, always fixing something. I loved him more than I ever told him. He died 8 years ago in his sleep. I found him in the morning still holding his glasses. I sat beside him for a long time, not crying, just holding his hand. After the funeral, the house felt different, colder, bigger. The sounds disappeared and silence took their place. For a while, I managed fine. I cooked small meals. I talked to the television. I walked to the corner shop and told the cashier too many stories. But as time passed, walking became harder. The stairs looked steeper. My hands didn't always listen to my brain. And one morning, I fell in the bathroom. I couldn't get up for almost an hour. That was when my daughter Anna said enough. She sat me down gently like someone placing a vase on a shelf. She told me I needed help, proper care. I told her I was fine. I told her I had managed alone before. But she looked at me like I was a child. She had already decided. So now I'm here. A small room with a single bed, a wardrobe, and a round table with 2 chairs. One chair is always empty. There's a calendar on the wall. I cross off each day with a red pen, though I don't know why. Maybe it makes me feel like time is still moving, like I am still part of something. On my second morning, a nurse brought me tea. Her name is Janet. She's young and quick, always in a hurry. She smiled as she placed the cup on my table. "Anything else you need, Margaret?" she asked. I wanted to say yes. I need my house. I need my life back. I need my daughter to visit more than once a month. But I only said, "No, thank you." I watched her leave and listened to the door click shut. I stared at the cup. It was green with a small chip on the rim. Something about that chip made me feel comforted, imperfect, like me. Later that week, someone new came into my life. Her name was Sophie. She's 10 years old and full of energy with curly hair that bounces when she walks. She comes every Thursday after school with her mother who works in the office. Sophie doesn't visit anyone in particular, she just walks around talking to whoever is willing to listen. That first Thursday, she popped her head into my room without knocking. "Hi," she said brightly. "Are you busy?" I looked at her, surprised. "No, not really." She walked right in, carrying a bag full of colored pencils and paper. "I'm Sophie. My mom works here. Do you want to draw something with me?" I hadn't drawn anything in decades, but her smile was wide and her eyes were full of light, so I said yes. We sat together at my little table and she handed me a sheet of paper and a blue pencil. "Draw something from your memory," she said. I thought for a moment, then slowly began to draw my old kitchen, the yellow curtains, the kettle on the stove, the clock that never worked. My hands shook a little, but the lines appeared. Sophie drew a cat wearing sunglasses. She said it was her imaginary pet. When she left that day, she said, "I'll come next Thursday, too." "Okay." I smiled and nodded. "I'd like that." That night, I opened the drawer next to my bed and found a small notebook someone had left. It had a floral cover and blank pages. I opened it and wrote one sentence. "Today a little girl reminded me that I am still here." I've written something every night since. Not long entries, just moments. Feelings. A memory of Robert fixing the old radio. Anna as a baby reaching for my necklace. The first snow that fell on our wedding day. The notebook is becoming my friend. It listens quietly and never interrupts. Some days are harder than others. There are mornings when I wake up and forget where I am. I sit up and wait to hear Robert's steps in the hall. Then I remember and my chest aches. There are other residents here, of course. Mrs. Khan next door listens to music on her old CD player. She hums sometimes. Mr. Adams wears a tie every day, even when he's just going to the lounge. No one talks very much, though. We're all in our own little bubbles, walking slowly through our memories. Anna came last Sunday. She brought flowers, white lilies my favorite. We sat in the garden for a while. She talked about her work, her children, her husband. I listened and nodded, adding small comments when I could. Before she left, she kissed my cheek and said, "You're doing well, Mom." I wanted to say, "I'm lonely, Anna. I miss you more than I can explain." But the words stayed in my throat. After she left, I sat in the garden alone, staring at the flower beds. A robin hopped near my feet. I watched it until it flew away. I don't blame Anna. She has a life, a family, responsibilities. I raised her to be strong, to build her own world. But still, I wish she would come more often. Not out of duty, but out of love. That night, I wrote in my notebook. The garden was quiet. The wind was soft, but I wished someone was there to sit beside me. A week later, Sophie came again. She ran into my room with her usual energy, carrying a board game this time. "It's called Snakes and Ladders," she announced. I laughed softly. "I remember this game. I used to play it with Anna when she was your age." Sophie spread the board on my table and rolled the dice. She chattered as we played about her school, her friends, the book she was reading. I listened, enjoying the rhythm of her voice. For a little while, I forgot I was in a care home. For a little while, I felt alive again. After she left, I looked at the empty chair across from me. I whispered, "Thank you, Sophie," though she couldn't hear. That night, my notebook read, "Some days, light comes from the smallest people. Not every day is filled with light. Some mornings I wake with pain in my joints so strong it takes me an hour to sit up. Some afternoons I sit by the window and watch cars pass by on the road outside, wondering where they're going, wishing I could go with them. But Thursdays have become my favorite days. One Thursday, Sophie asked me, "What did you want to be when you were little?" I thought about it. "I wanted to be a teacher," I said. But life had other plans. I married young, and then Anna came along. I don't regret it, but sometimes I wonder what it would have been like. Sophie grinned. "You can still teach me things. Teach me something now." I laughed, but then I thought for a moment. "All right. Here's something: when you're sad, write it down. When you're happy, write it down, too. Words are powerful. They help you carry things." Sophie nodded seriously. "Okay. I'll start a notebook too, just like you." That night, my notebook read, "Today I became a teacher after all." As weeks passed, I began to notice the rhythm of life here. Breakfast at 8, lunch at noon, dinner at 6. Pills handed out in little cups. Bingo on Wednesdays. A church group on Saturdays. Some residents rarely leave their rooms. Others gather in the lounge to watch television, though no one really talks. There's a loneliness in these halls that sits heavy, like dust. People fade here, slowly, quietly. I fear one day I will fade too. But then Sophie bursts into the hall, her laughter echoing, and for a moment, the dust lifts. One rainy afternoon, she asked me, "Do you ever feel scared here?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. Sometimes I worry about being forgotten." Sophie frowned. "I won't forget you. Even if you forget me, I'll still remember you." Those words wrapped around me like a blanket. That night, my notebook read, "A child promised me I will not disappear." Time is slippery here. Days blur into each other. But certain moments shine through, like beads on a string. Anna visiting with her children, who run through the hallways, filling the air with noise. Sophie drawing me pictures of cats, suns, rainbows. A nurse humming as she folds my blanket. Small things, but they stitch me together. Sometimes at night, I dream of my old house. I walk through the rooms, touching the walls, smelling the faint scent of Robert's aftershave. I wake up with tears on my pillow. I write them down. My notebook is filling fast. Then came the day Sophie asked if I ever fell in love. I chuckled. "Once," I said. "With a man named Robert. He was quiet, steady, kind. He built me a home with his hands and filled it with safety. We were married for 50 years. Sophie's eyes widened. 50 years, that's forever. I smiled. It felt like it. And yet, when it ended, it felt like only a moment had passed. She reached across the table and held my hand. "I hope I find someone like Robert one day." I squeezed her small fingers. "You will. And you'll know, because love feels like coming home." That night, I wrote, "Robert is gone, but his love still lives in me." Perhaps that is what forever means. Autumn arrived, painting the trees outside Rosewood Haven in shades of fire. From my window, I watched the leaves fall, one by one. I thought about how lives are like that, bright for a time, then drifting quietly to the ground. Sophie noticed me watching one afternoon. "Do you like autumn?" she asked. "Very much," I said. "It's beautiful, even though it's the end of things." She tilted her head. "Maybe it's not the end. Maybe it's just the start of winter, and winter has snow, and snow is pretty too." I smiled. Children see cycles where adults see endings. That night, I wrote, "Perhaps every ending is just another kind of beginning." Anna continued to visit, though not as often as she'd like. I could see the guilt in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Mum," she said one evening. "Work is so demanding. The kids have their activities. I wish I could be here more." I touched her hand. "Don't be sorry. You're doing your best. I'm proud of you." She squeezed my hand, tears glistening. "I just don't want you to feel alone." I didn't tell her that loneliness was already a constant companion. Instead, I said, "I have Sophie, and I have my memories. And I have you, even when you're not here." When she left, I sat by the window and wrote, "Love visits, even when it can't stay. That is enough." One winter morning, I fell. I don't remember how. One moment I was reaching for my slippers, the next I was on the floor, pain shooting through my hip. Nurses rushed in, voices sharp with urgency. They lifted me gently, their faces tight. At the hospital, doctors spoke in hushed tones. "A fracture," one said. "At her age, recovery will be difficult." I drifted in and out of sleep, machines beeping around me. When I woke, Anna was there, holding my hand. "You're going to be okay, Mum," she whispered, though her voice trembled. I wanted to believe her. Back at Rosewood Haven, I was confined to bed for weeks. The pain was constant, a dull roar in my bones. I felt myself shrinking, my world reduced to four walls and a ceiling. Sophie came, her eyes wide with worry. "Does it hurt a lot?" she asked softly. "Yes," I admitted. "But seeing you helps." She climbed carefully onto the chair beside my bed and opened a book. "Then I'll read to you until you feel better." Her small voice filled the room, chasing the shadows from the corners. That night, with effort, I scribbled, "Pain is heavy, but kindness lightens it." Winter deepened. Snow fell outside, blanketing the world in silence. Inside, my body weakened. Some days I could barely lift my head. Nurses checked on me often, their smiles gentle but their eyes worried. One night, unable to sleep, I looked at the ceiling and whispered, "Robert, if you can hear me, I'm tired." Tears slid down my cheeks. I didn't know if I was ready to let go, but I longed for his arms, his steady heart. The next day, Sophie brought me a drawing. It was of me, standing tall, holding hands with a man I recognized instantly, though she had never seen him. "That's you and Robert," she explained proudly. "You look happy." My breath caught. "How did you know what he looked like?" She shrugged. "I just imagined him. I think he'd smile like this." I held the drawing against my chest. That night, I wrote, "Perhaps love leaves traces children can see." Spring crept back slowly, the snow melting into soft green buds. From my bed, I watched the season change. though I no longer had the strength to sit at the window. Anna visited often now. She held my hand for long hours, speaking about the children, about her work, about ordinary things. I listened, though sometimes the words slipped past me like water. Her presence was enough. One afternoon, she whispered, "Mum, do you feel ready?" I knew what she meant. I closed my eyes. "I think so," I murmured. "But it's hard to say goodbye." Her tears fell onto my skin. "I love you," she said fiercely. "I love you too, my darling," I replied. That night, I wrote slowly, my hand trembling, "Love does not end, even when life does." Sophie still came, though I grew weaker. She would sit by my side, her small hand resting on mine. "You don't have to talk," she told me. "I'll talk enough for both of us." And she did, about her school projects, her favorite stories, her dreams of becoming an artist. Her voice wove around me like a lullaby. One day she brought me a notebook. "For you," she said shyly. "When yours is full." My old notebook was nearly bursting with words. I ran my hand over the new one, its cover bright and clean. "Thank you, Sophie. This is the most precious gift." That night, I wrote in shaky letters, "The world gives us endings. Children give us beginnings." The days blurred. My body grew frailier, but my heart felt strangely full. I had been afraid of being forgotten, but Sophie's laughter and Anna's love had proven otherwise. Pieces of me would remain in stories, in drawings, in memories. On my last night, I dreamed of Robert. He stood at the end of a path lined with roses, his arms open. "Come home," he said gently. When I woke, the room was quiet. Anna slept in the chair beside me, her hand still clutching mine. Sophie's drawing lay on the table, Robert's smile beaming at me. I took a breath, then another. Each one felt lighter, easier, as though the weight of years was lifting from me. In my final entry, my hand barely steady, I wrote, "I am not alone. I never was. I am going home." The pen slipped from my fingers. The world grew soft, like twilight. I closed my eyes and saw Robert waiting. And then, I walked toward him. If you like this story, please like, share and comment. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.